You feel this nervousness on the phone there?
Sir, I've been trying to make an urgent phone call up there.
Well, I don't think it's something I want to do on an overseas phone.
You gotta make some phone calls. Hang up the phone. Prank caller. Prank caller.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to Packernet After Dark. This is the call-in show, the Packernet Podcast Network. If you'd like to call in, if you'd like to participate in the show, please feel free to do so. The phone number here is 608-501-0718. Sorry, if I repeated some of that, I apologize. I was responding to text from 1265 here at the exact moment. Couple things real quick. Somebody, also JD from Wisco, sent me a text here telling me that the podcast, I'm guessing, well, no, it wouldn't have been tomorrow. I don't know which one. One of them got jacked up. And I don't know. Man, that ticks me off. I don't know which one. But every once in a while there's a thing. I think it's this little Go XLR thing that I have that it's very glitchy. It's not very good. I've tried to look into replacements. There really aren't a ton, especially for cheap. They're all very expensive. These little mixer things that my microphone goes into. I've already had to replace it once. I'm constantly, unplugging it, plugging it back in, restarting it, all that stuff. It's I don't know. It's not great, but there have been many a time where I've caught it that it's doing this really staticky thing, and I have to, first of all, fix this and then go back and delete the entire thing and go back and re-record it. And I guess I just didn't catch it this time. I hope it wasn't my rant from this morning, but it probably was. I was very proud of that episode that got freaking ruined, apparently. I'm not going back to re-record it. Here's the good news, though. Tomorrow's podcast, basically part 2. And hopefully that audio isn't all jacked up. So that's number 1. Number 2 is I'm going to try to start getting these podcasts up on YouTube. I don't know about the main podcast because it's so long, but Sal, Tundra, and probably this one, because this will be pretty easy. I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to do, but what I thought it would be kind of funny is I'm going to have AI generate images of all of you. If you'd like to send me something, you can do so, and I'll work off of that. Or if you want to provide a couple details about yourself that you wanted to get right. Otherwise, I'm going to have AI interpret your calls. I'm going to feed it a couple things and be like, what do you think this person looks like? You know what I mean? I might cheat if I know, like I know one of you where I can find a picture of you, and I might use that. But for the rest of you, and I can change it, obviously, so if you're like, that picture sucks, get something else, I'll do that. I haven't fully figured it out, so I don't know if tonight is going to be, if it's going to be up. It's already 7 o'clock. But I'm excited about it, and I like it, and I think it would be fun and kind of funny. But the point is, please do me a favor and subscribe on YouTube to the Packernet Podcast. There are 2, by the way. One of them is it's just a feed for this podcast. I saw that was a feature. In fact, it's weird because when you type in Packernet Podcast, one pops up. It's got 282 subscribers. You can subscribe to that if you want to. It has every podcast come out on YouTube. So feel free to subscribe to that if you want to listen on YouTube for whatever reason. However, there is one that's a couple down. It says also Packernet Podcast. It has 4,000 some odd subscribers. That's the one that's going to have the live streams. If we do them, that's the one that's going to have these types of videos. There's less things coming out on that one because it's not the constant podcast feed. But again, I'm trying to rectify that. So please do me a favor and go subscribe over there. That would be very nice. Without further ado, we do actually have we only have 9 calls, so we have just enough. That's kind of the cutoff for me when we listen to me. Just had to make sure it wasn't all staticky. We're good so far. Yeah, so, all right, new caller. This is going great for anybody that's on YouTube and this is the first time listening. Like, what is this garbage? New caller, go.
Hello, Mr. Schlip. My name is Don Bryber.
Hi, Don.
I'm calling as counsel of a client who calls into your evening show. We're hoping to obtain any contact information you may have about a caller named Nico. Please get in touch with my office at your earliest convenience. We certainly appreciate your assistance in this matter. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Nico, I'm going to need you to do me a favor, bud, and go ahead and call. All right? Do me a favor and let me know. By the way, if you call in, I save your name, and if you don't give me your name, then I put in whatever. I'm hoping, Mr. Bryber, I will put in attorney Don Bryber. If for any reason you need to call back, I will do what I can to get you the information that you need. Clearly representing 1265. So Nico or Nico's attorney, if you would like to call into the show, that would be much appreciated. Anywho, Snacks, what you got going on, big guy?
Daddy!
What's up, buddy?
What's up, buddy?
How you been?
It's Snacks.
Snacks. This old dog.
Well, I had to hibernate
I see that.
for the better part of, 4 months?
Jeez.
3 months?
Missed
After
you, dude.
those Bears disasters.
I understand.
You could barely see the light of day.
Barely.
But, like a phoenix, I finally
Rise
have
from the
risen.
ashes, yeah.
Golly, what a pathetic person and fan I am that it takes me that long to get over that stuff.
I get it.
Welcome
back.
Just a couple of things. The draft, why is everybody so up in arms about giving 2 7th-round picks to trade up to get a kicker? Did our kicker not miss 2 field goals and an extra point
Yeah, I thought everybody hated
in
the
the
guy.
playoff game against the Bears last year, and then the year before another one, and year before that another one, and whatever? I know he didn't get it right when he drafted Carlson, but I don't know, I actually thought when Goody got interviewed, he's like, you gotta keep trying. We need somebody. And I hope that they get rid of McManus. Let's just give it to the kids. And see
Yeah,
what
I think
he can do.
I think he's got it.
So that was number one. I don't understand why everybody cares so much. It's 2 7th-round picks. They can get undrafted free agents that could be arguably of the same type of quality. I'm not really that bummed out about that.
Yeah, my view of the 7th round, and honestly this year it might even been the 6th round if we're being honest, is essentially these are priority undrafted free agents, which is already a term, but in my mind this is kind of getting an early jump on guys that are basically UDFA quality so that you don't have to compete for them. That's pretty much all it is in my mind.
And secondly, have we ever had a draft where we've had immediate nicknames just by their initials? Like Brandon Cisse, BC. BC's a great nickname.
Yeah, sure.
Chris McClellan, C-Mac. I go with that.
I like that. I don't even know
Donnie, Dennis, Sutton. I'm probably getting that wrong. I'm probably not saying it right. Didi? Or
Diddy's
DDS?
good.
Call him the
DDS.
dentist? Jagerburton or Jagerburton? JB? Or Jagerbomb?
Mick Jagger.
We got Damani Jackson,
Moves
DJ.
like Jagger.
Trey Smack, TS or T-Smack?
T-Smack.
This is the all-nickname draft team right here,
That's
baby.
true.
I'm pumped. Woo!
Well, I'm very happy to have you back, Snacks. I missed the enthusiasm and the energy. Especially one of the first calls. I think we did have a new caller today. That threw me off just thinking about the new caller. It's a good way for me to get the energy up, to get Snacks in there just getting wild. The show's not the same without you. Hopefully you're back for good now. I'm actually hopeful that a lot of people are back because I understand. This is what I was pleading with everybody. Please don't leave. Please don't leave. And for the most part, everybody did a fantastic job. That's not a shot at you, Snacks, at all. I just wanted more and more people to experience and enjoy what is the off season. I find it enjoyable. I know for some people not so much, but it is something you can learn, right? It's kind of like beer and coffee. The first time you drank beer, the first time you drank coffee, I'm pretty sure, like the rest of us, you hated it. And I'm not talking about like candy coffee type stuff, as my wife calls it. I'm talking about black coffee. But you know what? You learn to love it. Same with beer. I force-fed beer down my throat forever. It was disgusting. I didn't like it. And then one day, you're sitting outside on a hot day, and you're like, you know what I could go for? A freaking beer, dude. And you mean it. You're not lying this time. So that's kind of... And I don't mean to make it sound painful and grueling, but I think that can be a thing in the same way. I think you go through it and you experience it and you find what's exciting about it. And hopefully for many of you that was the case, and we have a few more people that are new. Take a couple baby steps, and then next year it becomes even more and more enjoyable, and you dig a little bit deeper than you did last year. And I'm still going through that process of trying to dig a little deeper and do a little more and learn a little bit to get a little smarter next year in the off season, et cetera, et cetera. So anyways, but I get it, because there is I remember, and I didn't get any of them this year. Maybe it's because I was so pathetic in my pleadings that nobody wanted to break my poor little heart. But usually every year after the Packers lose, I get the calls saying, I got to go. I'm going to take a break. I'll see you when the season starts next year. And it genuinely is like crushing for me. It's like, dude, come, like, don't leave me, bro. Like, we can hang out. Where are you going? Where are you going? But I get it. You know what I mean? It's everybody has different priorities. They have different hobbies. At this point in the time when I'm very mad at the Packers, I don't need this to be a hobby. I don't need this to be a podcast in my ear every day anymore, like I did when I was excited and I thought we were going to win the Super Bowl and everything else. I'm gonna listen to my bass fishing podcast or my barbecue podcast or my true crime podcast or listen to some music or something. I get it. But you made my day, Snacks, because you're back. And I hope you stay back, and I hope this is a sign of things to come, that many of the people that are like, I need a break, are starting to feel the fever a little bit. The draft just kind of drew them back in, and maybe they popped into Packernet. Oh, let's see what this friggin' idiot's got to say. And then I'm leaving. I'm not coming back. I just want to see what he says for a second about this draft class, and then that's it. But then you get sucked in. Speaking of, I haven't heard from this fine gentleman in a while. In fact, there's another call. We got a couple here. But let's get started with Carson Caldwell. What's up, dude?
What's up, man? It is Carson Caldwell from Cleveland, Ohio. It's been a while since I called. Been listening, but haven't really had anything to say. But today, I have a lot to say about the whole, how many weeks should the NFL be? Should we add weeks? Should we, whatever? And the conversation about the NBA being too scared to add games.
Right.
My opinion on this is I'm a hockey fan, all right? They got 82 games as well.
Sure.
And their product is absolutely 100 million times better than the NBA. Teams are fighting for the playoffs every game. The superstars are playing every game. There's really no resting players.
Well, that's another good point on its face. I hate to cut you off, but to assume that basketball, the fact that the product is dog crap, especially at the end of the season, is simply because of a lot of games and not because the product is just dog crap, which, by the way, doesn't make sense on its face, because the NBA was massive for a very long time with these exact same amount of games, and the popularity is plummeting over the years, and the games are not changing. So that's not the problem. There are other problems. And like you said, there are other sports that have more games that are massively exciting at the end.
Still, teams are far and away into the playoffs, then they rest their rest their players for the playoffs. So I don't think it's a conversation about are there too many games? I think the conversation is, are there too many opportunities to compete to win the championship? In the NBA, they do the play-in, where seeds 7 through 10 compete in a little mini tournament to try and get into the playoffs. That's 10 teams from each conference.
Sure.
That means 20 teams out of the 32 teams in the NBA have a chance to win the NBA Finals.
Right.
In the NFL, there are only 14 teams that have a chance to win the Super Bowl.
Yep.
So that's 6 more teams in the NBA than there is in the NFL.
And even that feels high. Like, we added that, and we're kind of getting to the point. I mean, I've made the comment several times where it's like, I mean, it's half the league is getting in at this point. It's not like the elite of the elite. Like, you always felt like the playoffs were like the best teams. Now it's like, well, it's just, it's glass half empty compared to glass half full, where it's, only the best teams get in, but it's also only the worst teams aren't in. So it's kind of both. But to your point, yeah, I mean, I could see that situation where if we add more to the playoffs and more teams getting in, that would diminish the product, absolutely.
Well, So I think the danger comes not from adding games, but from adding opportunities to win the championship.
I agree, 100%.
Like the NFL, they used to have 12 teams compete to win the Super Bowl.
Right.
They had 6 seeds on each conference, and then they switched to 7 seeds. I think the danger comes is if you start adding 8 seeds, 9 seeds, 10 seeds,
right.
Not if you add extra games. What I think the format should be is 18 games, 2 bye weeks. That's a 20-week season.
I agree,
and keep
100%.
Keep the seeds at 7 seeds each, and I think you have a great product. I don't think it comes with the game. So I'm all for adding an extra game or two, getting off season to get a little shorter. And, you know, who cares about preseason? Get rid of preseason,
sure.
too. So, well, obviously not get rid of it, but you know what I mean. Let me see how much time I got.
It's a great thing about the preseason, too, is that nobody actually cares, and it's a great leverage point. Like, if the NFL got rid of it on its own, they wouldn't have that as a negotiating tool. The fact that they have a negotiating tool that does nothing, like they're not getting revenue from the preseason, what the hell do they care? It's basically coaches who want extra practice and GMs who want more opportunities to identify which talent should be here and shouldn't be, which, by the way, it's important, and I do like the preseason, and I'd like it to stay. But it's if we can get rid of a preseason game and swap it for a regular season game, that is a massive win for everybody, except for the GMs who want that evaluation period. And maybe we could add something else to it. Give them an extra week of practice or scrimmages or whatever the case, but not an actual game. I don't know. But it is a phenomenal piece of leverage that the NFL has that they can play with that they don't actually even want. It's valuable to the other person. It's not valuable to the NFL.
All right, I got 45 seconds. Also, with the division, I also like how the division leaders get a home playoff game. I don't think they should change that. I know it's kind of like a controversial pick, and I know like logically it's probably better to have the teams that have the better record make the playoffs over teams that win their division. And to be honest, it's probably better, but I don't like it for some reason. I've always liked how the division winners get into the playoffs. I know I could be wrong about that, and my opinion is not correct, but that's just what I think. I like it how it is, so I don't want them to change that. All right, that's all I got. So I'll see you guys later. Go Pack, go.
Yeah, well, that's definitely the majority opinion. I'm on the outside, and I think it is a preference thing. I think what's surprising to me is how many people genuinely care about that. Because like I said, I've just never viewed it that way. I mean, I know we have a rivalry, but the idea that rivalry goes away, we had a rivalry with the Bears when the Bears had no chance of getting in. So the rivalry is not based on the number one seed or the playoff seeding. I've never thought about it that way ever. Winning the division is about the pride of winning the division. That's it. So, and honestly, I mean, it still has playoff implications because obviously winning and losing has massive playoff implications. All we're really talking about, like you said, is the seeding. And whether you're deserving of a home playoff game and a higher seed. But obviously, if you win your division, you have a higher seed than the people below you. So not a lot is going to change other than we get rid of this nonsense where 7-win teams are going to be in the playoffs at a higher seeding in a home game than somebody else with 11 wins that lost out to a 12-win team. It just feels so stupid to me. But again, I do think there's a lot of... I don't want to say emotion to try to denigrate the position because, again, it is the majority position. But it feels like I think that there is a lot of pride in that feels like it's being somehow tarnished. I don't know. I don't see it that way. Like my opinion of how much I dislike the Bears or the Vikings or Lions, it does not go down even a little bit. If the playoff thing changes, it does nothing to me other than, because it's, you should get what you're deserving of. Again, if I'm a 12-win team and we're a frickin' 7th seed, that's stupid. And again, I'm not saying we should be seeded higher than, say, the Lions, who are a 13-win team. Even if there's 2 teams in the division, there's a 13-win Lions team and a 12-win Bears team, and we're an 11-win team. Guess what? We are below both of them. Rightly so, because they're better than us. But I'm not seeding our rankings based on frickin' The nonsense. And by the way, if we play those other teams, guess who gets the home team? They do. They get a home team over us because they have a better record. So none of that changes. The only thing that changes is if you win the division. So if the Packers win the division with, 8 wins, you're probably not getting a home game because you don't deserve it because you suck. And again, I'm even conceding the fact that if you win, you can go to the playoffs. So we'll keep that. I don't know that it should be that way. It probably shouldn't even get into the playoffs. But as a concession, sure, if you win the division, you can go to the playoffs. But you're not getting a home game and a higher seed. Absolutely not. That's stupid. All right. Wow, we got to take a break. Garrett, we'll get right back to you. Come on, play. Sorry.
Hey, Ryan.
Hi.
It's Garrett from Southern
What's up,
Illinois.
dude?
I could not agree with you more about the stupidity of the draft grades after the dust hasn't even settled yet. I know of your disdain for the consensus big board, and I tend to rely on that just a little bit to do the mock drafts. So,
Well, and just to be clear, I very much do not have disdain. I use it regularly, and I've said already that it does have correlation to success in the NFL. It has a relatively high correlation. So it's not useless. It is important. I just don't want to overemphasize it, especially as Packer fans. What I don't want is despair because there was an apparent reach. Again, I think that is a red flag. In the same way that someone is, if you draft a 25-year-old, or if he has a slow 40, or whatever the case may be, these are all red flags. He had bad PFF grades or whatever. But we shouldn't be in despair over it. We should just note that, just like everybody, this is one of his flags. He was a reach, so there's a higher chance of failure there. Just like if he's 25, there's a higher chance of failure there. But I have no issue whatsoever with the consensus board.
we can get an idea. Like Daniel Jeremiah and Brugler, those guys I feel like at least give some stability to the madness of helping you put guys in order.
Sure.
But when it comes to grades, to me, that is such nonsense because you're basically looking, your media people are grading NFL management and scouts
Right.
that have really no clue what they're looking at.
Yeah.
And they're basing it on basically how that we do our mock drafts. It's hearsay and what your eyes are just seeing for just a small snippet of things. So, just to give you an example, I heard from another podcast that, Seattle Seahawks received an F grade for the draft year that they picked Irvin, Bobby Wagner, and Russell Wilson.
One of the greater draft classes of all time, by the way.
They received an F. Those guys go on to win a Super Bowl and then go on to play in another Super Bowl and lose.
Did I lose you? I did lose you. All right. He did call back, but that was a whole day later, so we're not going to go there. Yeah, I mean, you'll see that all the time, and I could very easily go back, and it's somewhat disingenuous because more often than not, you will find a correlation in their direction. But the reason why we shouldn't overemphasize it is because we shouldn't treat it like it's 100%. It's still a very low, it's a relatively low correlation compared to a 1-to-1 correlation. Do you know what I mean? All right. Anywho, Raider McCready, what's up, dude?
Hey, Ryan, Raider from Missouri. Just giving an update. You wanted to know how the smokeout went, and it turned out to be really, it was just a blast. I got up at 2 o'clock in the morning, and hold on. I got a phone call.
Oh, no.
Bye.
Sorry. Raider part 2.
Hey, Ryan, Raider again. Sorry about that. Wife's car got totaled by a hailstorm with baseball-sized hail.
Oh, geez, yeah.
Yeah, that was fun. Anyway, back to the smokeout. We had a total of 9 kids here.
Yes.
I got up at 2 o'clock in the morning. I like to smoke overnight, less flies, etc. Cooler, not quite so hot. Everybody was here by 10:30 in the morning. Everybody was gone around 5:30, 6 o'clock. But I was smoking for 14 and a half hours altogether, which, 9.5 pound.
For those that don't know and are new, we're talking about meat, not friggin' pot or something. I was smoking for 14 hours. There were 20 kids here. It was freaking dope, bro.
But I had 2 of those. 3 chuck roasts.
Yes.
Did 6 chicken breasts. Did cheeseburgers for lunch.
Yes. Talking dirty.
Let's see. Yeah. Lots of beer was drank. We're in Missouri. It's legal. A lot of weed was smoked. It was awesome. So, but the smoker, I love it. The only thing you have to be careful is whenever you're smoking a bunch of stuff like that, you have to be careful of what drips onto what.
Yeah,
you know
exactly.
What I mean? Like, you don't want
your poultry dripping
your
down.
chicken
Your
dripping
beef.
onto your brisket, everything like that, which we had 2 of those as well. But anyway.
However,
go pack up.
Sorry, that was the end. However, brisket dripping on the chicken, I'll allow it. I feel like that's a phenomenal marinade, if I'm being honest. All right, we got 3 calls left. Why don't we take a break here? Appreciate you calling that back in, Raider. Anytime, by the way, you want to call in and talk about meat or whatever. By the way, it's going to sound super lazy for somebody that likes to talk about like grilling and smoking meat and all that stuff. I have just rediscovered how amazing air fryers are. And so I am just air frying the crap out of everything. It's not good for everything, obviously, but I finally decided I would try out fish in the air fryer because everyone raves about it. That was way better than any fish I've ever. To be fair, I don't really smoke fish. I should try that. I did smoke a salmon. That was actually quite good, but I usually just pan fry. Holy crap, it was way better. And now I'm just like mass producing potatoes in that freaking thing. But generally speaking, we'll keep it to the smoker and whatnot and talk about that. Have a good time. We'll take a break. We'll be right back with Batman.
Batman. Oh,
yo,
my God. I just can't even listen to anything on the radio anymore. Any Sirius, anything, any ESPN, NFL. Pack Daddy, right now, I just happened to flip on whatever was Sirius XM was coming on NFL, and some guys they're talking about the wide receiver room for the Packers.
Yeah.
First name's out of his mouth before he even starts even any type of criticism or analysis. He mentions Bo Melton and Sky Moore. Those were the first 2 names out of his mouth. And what he was trying to do, eventually what I figured out was the point that Reed is going to have a huge role in this offense. $50 million is a big commitment. It is.
Sure.
But he said, Watson's always hurt. You obviously have not seen how that kid has come back.
Right.
Towards the end of the year, he's not injured.
By the way, that annoys the crap out of me. And I get that there is some correlation there in terms of, you can expect injury more so from somebody. But it's the same, and I kind of talk about it on tomorrow's show. I think it was tomorrow's show. I don't know when it was. But, it was last night's Packernet After Dark. The running back, whose name I don't know because he's hurt all the time, to be clear, Marshawn Lloyd. Look, we treat it as though he's gone, like he doesn't exist. Listen, he had bad luck. Okay, maybe there's something else going on, but a lot of these injuries don't even like correlate. He had wasn't it appendicitis or something? Like it was just random stupid crap. I don't know that a lot of this means he's just going to be hurt forever and we can't really rely on him. You have to understand that there's a possibility of that. But we also can't assume he's just going to be hurt forever. And it's the same with Watson. And with Watson, it's a very specific case, and I wouldn't expect somebody on ESPN to necessarily know because they're not tracking this as closely as Packer fans are. But with Watson, he did have a recurring issue. And then they figured out what that issue is, and they fixed it. And he didn't get injured until there was one of the fluke injuries, not one of the like recurring soft tissue type things. This is a different kind of injury. And so when he recovered from that, he came back and he looked quite good. He's starting to look like a top 10 receiver, legitimately. And that's a big deal because the top like 30 receivers are all very, very, very good. So being top 10, I think he ranked like 11th, is remarkable. But yeah, this constant, well, he's hurt all the time. So, like, you have to make the distinction between what types of injuries we're talking about. Some people do have recurring stuff. You know, like when David Bakhtiari jacked up his knee, he was done. His knee was constantly messed up. Jair, he had some stuff going on and that's why he couldn't get a contract. Everyone kind of knew, like, this isn't gonna work. You know, the cornerback in the draft that fell. It wasn't because he had an injury. It's because they didn't trust that he would be healthy long-term based on what the injury is.
At the end of the year, coming on, doing really well. Never mentioned Golden and mentioned 800 snaps for Dobbs and that he thinks that Reed's going to do 800 snaps.
Sorry, it froze there for a second. So essentially, he boiled it down to Reed and Bo Melton is our wide receiver room. That was what a stupid human being. My goodness. Absolutely ridiculous. Garrett, what's going on?
Hey, Baghdadi. I just have a couple of questions now moving forward since we know our undrafted free agents, what they're capable of as far as what positions that they have signed players to. But I still feel like we have maybe a couple of opportunities to still sign some free agents that are out there. And I saw last night on, I can't remember the YouTube video I watched, but they were highlighting, I'm sorry, it was Clayton, and he was going through available free agents and the likelihood of maybe what players he liked for Green Bay to sign. And one of them that I had in the back of my mind I wanted to bring up to you that he did highlight was Calleb Campbell. He's played in Gannon's system, high character. He has still maintained a very decent PFF score. So he is a potential guy that they could probably get on the cheap and sign for 1 year just to be just another vet on that line. I know that group is already kind of maxed out, but if there's opportunity to improve it, then I'm all for signing a free agent like him. There are still defensive backs out there that potentially they could sign. There's Diggs. There's Rasul Douglas. And I know guys could be on and off the fence with both of those guys, but you just never know. So we just can't rule out possibilities like that. So we'll just remain to be seen, but just wanted to bring those up to you to discuss a little bit, looking out at finalizing this roster for next season.
Yeah, I mean, I think I mentioned it before yesterday. I'll at some point go through and kind of look at this stuff, and we probably should do it sooner than later because if the Packers do something, it'll probably in and around now. So to kind of get the thoughts before it happens, if it happens, this would be a good time to do it. But I mean, just off the top of my head, as far as now I got to remember the guys that what the heck is his name? The defensive end, the very big Calleb Campbell. The biggest issue I think I have with that is even though he is a little bit different, if I had to put him in a bucket, I'd put him in the Javon Hargrave bucket. And we already got Javon Hargrave. Now, you could say he's more of a outside pass rusher type because he's kind of a hybrid. I don't know. And even if you did, I mean, it's like Lucas Van Ness, which wouldn't be necessarily a problem. But I don't know. He's kind of inside outside. I don't exactly know how he was used last year. when he was with our defensive coordinator. But that would be my immediate thought is we kind of already went out and did that when we got Javon Hargrave. As far as the corners, that one, maybe there's a little bit more to it. And only because, again, it seems like our GM really is kind of panicked about this. Now, maybe he's okay for now because we got Cisse, and who knows with Damani Jackson or whatever. And we did go out in free agency already and get Benjamin St. Juste. So, again, I would lean toward probably not. You know, we got two draft picks, one of them early, and we already went out and did something in free agency with this. I would, again, probably lean, I don't think so. I mean, I guess off the top of my head here, let's see, wide receiver, probably not, and we already got Sky Moore, a kick returner basically, but we'll see. Offensive line maybe would be an area to kind of consider. We do have a billion guys in there, though. And again, the problem is you're mostly looking for depth, and are you going to go in free agency and spend expensive free agent prices to get a backup to compete with the guys that are already backups? Like, we got Donovan Jennings and Darian Kennard, who are actually pretty solid. We have Jacob Monk, who he said he likes, and we drafted Jager Burton. I don't think so. Tight end, maybe, but you'd have to see who's out there. And again, my problem with that is if you're trying to replace Luke Musgrave, what sense does it make to get a short-term solution at tight end when Luke Musgrave is a short-term solution? We need to try to find a long-term solution. Maybe if you want to go get more of a blocking guy, but they really like Josh Wiley and some of the guys that they have here. So I don't really see that. You could make a case for running back maybe, but again, I think Marshawn Lloyd is that guy. Backup quarterback probably makes the most sense, but I think they want to see what they have in Kyle McCord a little bit. So I don't know about all that. Again, interior defensive line, I think, is probably done. Pass rusher is one where I think you could make a pretty strong case, again, largely because of the beginning of the season. You don't know that Denai Dennis Sutton is going to be able to do anything. Again, we got Barron Sorrell in the 4th round last year. He didn't really do very well, so there's no reason to expect him or Sutton to come in and immediately be able to handle the situation. So again, if you want to say that what's his name is a pass rusher, maybe that could be the case. But at the same time, first of all, again, can you find a guy? And then on top of that, when you're looking for the rest of the season, do you want to pay, to have somebody take snaps away from Sorrell and Sutton and Brenton Cox and whatnot? For me personally, and I feel like I've been a little bit more of an advocate for edge than most people, including possibly even our GM, although he did get Sutton, which, whatever. I would maybe lean in that direction. As a guy that has said you can never have too many pass rushers is a stupid saying, I'm kind of leaning on that a little bit because I'm a little concerned about Van Ness being questionable in this scheme. I trust him, but we're switching again when he just started to maybe look like, okay, he's actually going to be a good pass rusher. He ends up getting hurt, and then we switch back to a 3-4. That makes me nervous. Same thing with Barron Sorrell. And I feel like Barron Sorrell was kind of built for a 4-3 defense, more so than Danny Dennis Sutton. Not to say he can't do it. Same with Brenton Cox, by the way. I said the same thing about him when we were in 3-4. I felt like 4-3 was going to benefit him, and I think it did. Anyways, I have a lot more question marks at the position as far as edge. Corner, again, I've already addressed. Safety doesn't really make sense. We have starters and we have backups, and then special teams, none of that really makes sense. So, I know free agency is exciting, and we'll definitely take a look, and I'm not opposed to it necessarily, but the odds that we're going to find something that makes sense, again, so when we identify something, we say, first of all, this is specifically what we need. Not just any old person. Like, we need specifically this to fill this specific need. Like, let's say we want a blocking tight end. Okay, well, it has to be a blocking tight end. It can't be a high-priced tight end because we already have our high-priced guy. It's not worth it. We're looking for a low-price veteran guy that can execute this specifically and be a low enough price where we don't feel we need to put him on the field a ton. He can just kind of float around. Like, does that person even exist? And so the problem is a lot of times there isn't a matchup between what we need specifically and that exact prototype sitting out there in free agency for a reasonable price. A lot of these guys aren't getting hired because they're asking for more money than what they're worth. But again, we'll take a look, and I haven't listened. I saw Clayton kind of put out a tweet about it, but I haven't really listened. Maybe he made a couple good cases on that. Again, I haven't really dug into it. This is just kind of off the top of my head. By the way, I will make one thing clear in his defense, and I don't remember exactly how it went, and I won't name names, but I saw him put out that tweet, and he kind of got mocked by somebody because who was it? Diggs. I think I could be wrong about this, but I believe it was Diggs. And, you know, the rebuttal from the guy that was being sort of mocking about it was that we just cut Trayvon Diggs. There's a couple other things, but that was part of it. I will say this. When I looked at our new defensive coordinator, and I don't think we're going to pick up Diggs, but I don't think we're going to pick up, I mean, nobody has made sense to me so far. But in his defense, which I don't think he responded to, which good for him. But when I looked at our new defensive coordinator, remember, we got rid of Diggs before we got our new defensive coordinator. When I looked at free agents or the prototype that would make sense for him as far as what kinds of corners, it's a guy like Diggs. Like that is more the type of player that our defensive coordinator would be able to work with, more so than somebody like Keyshawn Nixon. It's, you know, again, it's more of the long arm, straight speed, click and close, all the stuff that all the little buzzwords we've been saying this whole time. I just wonder maybe if for the right price or circumstance or whatever, if we hadn't cut him, if he would still be here today. And if there is a potential for there to be a reunion, which would make the Packers probably feel a little stupid and swallow some pride or whatever, because, you know, whatever. But I don't, as they reevaluate, I don't know that it's impossible that if you go to the defensive coordinator, say, how you feeling about the corners? And he's like, I could really use another guy. Again, they already kind of addressed it. But if they did say, we want one more guy, could that one more guy be Trayvon Diggs? There's nothing wrong with at least just asking the question, especially when you look at a pile of free agents and say, almost none of these make sense. I think as far as which ones do make sense, he ain't at the bottom of the list. All right, final call from Garrett.
I have to make an amendment to that last call.
Okie dokie.
It just totally escaped me that, you know, we still have Kamal Hadden, and I think we are, and of course I just did, underestimate what he may bring to the table this year. So I think there are still some guys on this roster that may surprise people in this next training camp and maybe propel themselves up a little bit in the depth chart. So maybe cornerback isn't quite the need of free agency, like I just suggested, but there are some guys, I believe, that will make some jumps in the depth chart, and I think Kamal Hadden may be one of those guys.
Sure.
So I am all for some extreme competition in that defensive back group. So CSA will definitely bring that and up the competition on the outside. Who knows? Maybe Damani can come in and surprise people also. Let's hope he comes in with a chip on his shoulder, because nothing against Nixon, but I just feel like we could easily upgrade that position with him. Valentine, I still think, has potential, but he's going to have to prove it. He has definitely got to make some improvements from what he did last year. Yeah. So I think they went out and got guys that aren't afraid to stick their nose in when it comes to the run. And we know from what we saw last season, some guys made business decisions.
Very true.
That we were not very fond of. So let's hope we got some guys that are not afraid to stick their nose in it. So there it is. I'm out.
Well, and that's the other problem with the free agency question, because I think, you know, again, we have the 91-man roster right now. I believe. I could be wrong. I haven't personally went and counted every single one, but that's my current understanding is we have 90 plus the international pathway guy. The other issue is that the Packers do have a bunch of guys, and even though you might have some questions here or there, they want the competition. They want to see these guys get in. They want to see who took a step, and you know, they don't want to have to go into free agency. That's kind of if they go into free agency at this point, they're saying we have a serious need that we don't think can be or will be addressed prior to the season. So not only do we not have guys that were good enough last year, but we don't think they're good enough this year. Like they're not going to take a step for us. So we need that guy. And I don't know. Again, you can absolutely look at it and say, I don't feel comfortable here. That's going to be the case across the board. But the Packers still are going to want to get to the point of getting them in the building, putting them through some workouts, seeing if they've improved, trying to go through that process as quickly as possible. It's very difficult until they're allowed to put pads on and all that, but you can still, get in their head as far as the playbook and kind of see where they're at mentally and if they've kind of mentally taken a step. But I think generally speaking, they want to give these guys an opportunity to win these jobs, to earn these jobs, and to get those snaps, even if there's a little bit of pain to it, rather than bury them behind some mediocre free agent. Let's let them go out there and trial by fire it and see if they can learn and grow on this defense or on this offense or with the wide receivers or with Jordan Love or whatever. I mean, that was, again, kind of the issue with Matthew Golden. Maybe part of it was his fault, but, a lot of it had to do with the fact that he's buried. He's buried behind guys that just have more experience, buried behind guys that have a better relationship with Jordan, all these different things, and he just wasn't able to go out there and learn and trial by fire and just have balls chucked at him, which, by the way, every time the ball went to him, he did a phenomenal job. But I think there is a part of that needs to happen. He might suck, and that's probably the case with the edge group. Yeah, it's scary and it's dangerous, but you know what? Maybe guys just need more opportunities. Maybe Barron Sorrell just needs to get out there and have more snaps on defense and, put some more stuff on tape so we can go back into the film room and work on those things. And that's just kind of the way it goes. But again, there's always Gutekunst is always working in the offseason. There's going to be changes. There's going to be guys that, churning the bottom of the roster as it's known as, whatever the frickin' thing is. That's going to happen. That's going to continue to happen. Any big swings? Probably not. But again, I will try to make an effort at. I notoriously hate looking at free agents. It's like my least favorite project to do. But everybody always wants to do it when it's in the off season and free agent time and all that stuff. So we will at least look at what the names are, because I do see people keep posting it, and I occasionally when I see the list, like here's the top 10 or 20 for you, I do look at it and go, there's a couple good names in there. So it's worth at least dabbling. All right, I'm done rambling now. I appreciate all the calls. Again, we are all completely caught up. So if you want to do this again tomorrow, go ahead and get your calls in. Again, the number is 608-501-0718. I think I'm going to try to get this up on the YouTubes, see if we can't get some YouTubers to join in on the fun. By the way, if you are new, if whatever, this is like you just discovered this on YouTube, this is a very cool, friendly, like all the callers, it's like a family environment over here. We have a good time. You can pretty much say whatever you want, but I might have to bleep out some stuff. It's cool. I'm not going to be offended by pretty much anything you say. So I do have the right to refuse your call if you get too crazy with it, but I pretty much have never done that. We'll see if anyone tries to push the limits of what I'll allow on this show. I already got lawyers calling me, so we'll have to see. Mr. Attorney Don Bryber. Anyways, you guys have a good day, night thing, whatever, and I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.